731 Tree Country 1330 WTRE. It's Thursday. Welcome, Mayor Marsh.
Hey, good morning, Emily. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday.
We have warm weather today.
It's always interesting. The first 40-degree day is the coldest day ever. And then after you spend, 3 days below 20, 40 feels wonderful.
It does, doesn't it? You walk out, you're like, no coat. It's great.
I took a coat out of the house this morning, and then I walked to the car and I said, well, don't need this, and just left it in the car. So, yeah, it's almost March out.
That's right. We're on our way. Well on our way to March. We are wrapping up 2025. Crazy to think that already.
It is hard to believe. There's an adage that somebody told me when I was at IU about law school is the days are long and the years are fast, in short. And it seems like that's the case, right? It seems like every week, we come back here, we chat about what's been happening. Lots have been going on. But it's hard to believe the year's already over.
It's crazy. It seemed like a fast year and a busy year, and you've accomplished a lot this year. Throughout the city, there's been a lot.
Yeah, and one of the things that we do is, in February, we do the State of the City, which is sort of the year in review, which I know seems kind of late, but it allows our team to get some data, and we get our thoughts together, and then also get some ideas laid out for 2026. Obviously, some of the big stuff's already in the works, but it is always kind of interesting to give everybody at the end of the year kind of updates and opportunities to talk about what we accomplished this year. And I usually go back and look through kind of like Facebook posts and photos that have been posted over the years, because some of the things that you think about or forget about are some of the most fun ones, right? They're the minor little impacts you have with chatting with kids at school, or working on some project, ribbon cutting or groundbreaking. But overall, our team's done a wonderful job this year. I think it's been a really good year. I think we're hitting on lots of cylinders. I think our team is working better than it has in the last since I've been involved, and we've got great leadership. And overall, I think we're chugging right along, and we're going to see what 26 brings. Obviously, we've got some challenges coming with some of the General Assembly legislation. We'll see what else they work on in their very short session now, starting in January, on January 5th, because they've vowed to cut off 2 weeks at the end because of the whole conversation with redistricting happening this year. And when you already have only about an 8-week session anyway, and you chop off 2 weeks of it, that makes it really fast and really short.
Sure does. You actually had the opportunity to meet with the governor yesterday and have a conversation.
I did. It's always an opportunity you don't want to pass up and you don't want to say no to. But the mayor of Columbus, Mary Fredon, myself, and Dawn Sturch, who's the mayor of Peru, had a 3-on-1, if you will, meeting with the governor, kind of to talk about lots of things. Obviously, SEA 1, Senate Enrolled Act 1, being a very large topic, the income tax piece of that, a large topic, Indiana Economic Development Corp, kind of our big topic as well. But to also just sort of explain some of the frustrations that happened in the last session with, being involved and or not being involved is more like what it actually was, and how can we help him and his administration be successful, especially when we talk about local government and how that impacts us. So the commissioner for the Department of Local Government Finance and 2 assistant commissioners from there were in our meeting as well. So an opportunity to talk with them directly about what that looks like. The conversation is quite interesting because there's lots of very nuanced details, and it affects every community differently, but generally it affects every community negatively. And trying to explain to him how the perception that all of the COVID funding somehow led to bloated budgets is not accurate, right? We didn't hire any people with the city of Greensburg did not hire any people with COVID money. We did not start up and maintain any long-term planning or long-term programs. It was capital investments that serve us for a long time, and that's where the dollars went. And so trying to explain to him, there seems to be an impression maybe that's being portrayed that budgets were bloated with COVID dollars that are no longer available, and that's just not the case here. It's not the case in Columbus, not the case in Peru. And trying to explain, we've seen rapid increases in items that we purchase, substantial increases in wages to be competitive and still remain competitive. We actually, our pay is not as good as a lot of the private sector, but our benefits package is really good. So it balances in some capacities. So trying to work through that and explain that a little bit.
When you talk about SB1, I did not realize when we had this conversation, but that could still be altered somewhat during this session, right?
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yes, and the there's kind of two factors to the Senate Enrolled Act 1, which was the property tax piece. So a lot of people, you may qualify for up to $300 on your property tax as a credit. So if you bought, something to keep in mind, if your house is assessed at $230,000, you're going to get $230. You're not going to get $300. So it's only if your house is over $300,000 will you get $300. So I think that's something most people didn't necessarily hear or understand. So the impact may not be quite as big as you think it may be. And then the second piece, and then there was, of course, there was a pretty good size corporate benefit in there too. So business personal property tax is what corporations pay for things inside their real property. So they're capped at 3% and instead of 1%, but inside the building, that deduction floor is going away. Depreciation floor is going away. And then also the value, the de minimis value, meaning if you have a business that has less than, it used to be $1 million and now it's $2 million worth of personal property, you just don't pay any business personal property tax. So that has increased. And then with the floor, the depreciation floor going away, that's actually a pretty significant revenue loss, especially for communities that are heavy in manufacturing. So if you think about a big metal building with lots of tools and machines in it, the business personal property tax number is actually a pretty stable economic engine for communities. It is for us, but then it's a really big deal for someplace like Columbus. So if you think about all the facilities that Cummins owns or that support Cummins with the machinery inside buildings, it's a big deal. So that was very impactful to them. Second piece of SEA 1 is the income tax. And so a restructuring of income tax that is going to require local communities to put into effect and increase income tax is going to happen. And I've been saying that on this program for 48 weeks now, that there's this other piece that no one's talking about. Everybody's talking about $300 tax credits if your house is worth more than $300,000. But we've been talking about this income tax piece of it's going to have to be implemented, it's going to have to go up, and it's going to be paid by those people that live in this case, in our county. But it is based on where that person lives. So right now, we'll use manufacturing facility A, pays business personal property tax on some equipment that is based in Decatur County, and they pay that. Well, if that goes away and that revenue needs to be replaced and it's shifted to income tax, company manufacturing facility A doesn't pay the tax anymore. Employees X, Y, and Z do, but it's based on where you live. So if employee X lives in Decatur County implements a income tax to offset the cost and the loss of revenue to support operations. So therefore, the employee X pays more in taxes because the income tax increases. Employees Y and Z, let's say, live in Marion County. Marion County implements an income tax. That money goes back to Marion County. It's not paid to Decatur County. It's paid based on where you live. So it is truly a shift, and that's what I think a lot of folks were trying to, I'll use the term jump up and down and scream and yell about, is that this whole tax plan shifts burdens to Hoosiers and away from corporations, but it's under the guise of a property tax relief bill. And that's just not really accurate. So this is a big part of what our conversation was with the governor yesterday, is this is not really how this works, and it is going to be more impactful for Hoosiers. And if we're trying to help Hoosiers, this did the opposite of that.
This is not it. Did you get a chance to talk about the Community Crossings grant with him? Because we've talked about that on here previously.
Yeah, very briefly and in passing, expressing frustration. I'm the first to admit that Community Crossings, we talk about it all the time, CCMG, is how we do road paving, road work projects in the city of Greensburg that are not LPA, local project awards. But the legislature dramatically cut the funding for that. And I'm the first to admit it is a competitive grant process. No community is entitled to it. But it is how we, and not just we, vast majorities of the state and communities fund road projects at the local level. So milling and filling, micro surfacing, minor reconstruct, ADA compliance is all handled through the Community Crossings Matching Grant. It is funded by gas tax in the state. And with the budget cuts, they cut it from $300 million to $100 million overnight, just because. And then they also had to give $50 million to Indianapolis as a part of the legislation. So the $100 million then was spread out. They're touting 195, 96 communities were awarded out of 300, so that only 110 were not awarded, which is quite interesting, because 2 weeks ago I was at Mayor's Institute, and the question of 50, 60 mayors in the room, and how many of you received zero funding this year, and 40 raised their hand. So 80% of those in the room raised their hand. That's unheard of, honestly. And sitting at the table, Peru received zero, Greensburg received zero, Columbus did receive theirs, but expressed some frustration with that as well, that, hey, this is... Not only are we in a moment where we're going to be asking residents to talk about income tax and getting less service because of this reduction in revenue, but also now we're not even doing road work because the grant funding, the funding to support that was slashed by 2/3. So it's expressing some frustration with that, and all of these changes happening literally at one time, and having a very fast ramp to overhaul, if you will, income and property tax structures is a little aggressive. So we did talk about that a little bit, and we'll see. The next call is not until July of 26, and then that will be for 27. So it's going to be an interesting year of road funding discussions, and it has an effect. If you look, O'Mara Contractors LLC, Milestone, Globe, those that are familiar in our community receive money through doing work for these things. That has a not to use the term trickle down effect, but it has a trickle down effect.
It does. It's going to impact more than just the city.
Sure. And Decatur County usually does about $1 million, $1.5 million worth of road work a year. They receive $500,000, so there's significantly less there. Greensburg had requested $700,000. We received zero. It's just kind of a little tough. And then when you hear about some other communities that have very, very small populations in other parts of the state, maybe receiving $1 million, it gets a little grumpy, because we are a regional economic engine, and we support lots of industry and lots of daily commuter traffic, and we try our best. And I understand not every road is perfect and probably never will be, but it hurts.
We shall see what next year brings, right?
That's right.
See what happens. It's hard to believe because we forgot about it, but we had some nasty weather over the weekend and into Monday.
Yeah, how quickly we forgot, right?
Frosty's gone. He melted yesterday.
I didn't quite forget. I'm sure our teams didn't quite forget, but again, just very appreciative and complimentary to our teams who spent a lot of time behind snowplows and working on water breaks in the snow and in the cold. The bitter cold is really, really challenging, not just for us, but for everyone. Machines and people and things don't work quite as well. Makes everything a little more challenging. But then also, like the snow melt products just do not work under really 20 degrees. So just becomes incredibly ineffective. It becomes super expensive to treat. I think I'll get the numbers kind of close. So our regional NDOT district has 70 miles more of road than we do, I think. So, quite a bit, but not a ton. And I think they start their season with 6,000 tons of salt. We start with 600 tons because that's what the budget can support, right? And so we have the ability to order more if we need it, but again, getting it's hard, and also just the efficiency of it. So we have to be a little bit more reserved in our application. But at the same point in time, too, We don't do the brine process. We've talked about that extensively here before. And on Saturday, the snowfall that was accumulating and people were still out driving around, which, is okay. That we can all drive on snow, I'm sure. But the compaction of it and then the rate at which it fell, we could not get it out of the way fast enough before it compacted. And then when it turned bitter cold, it pretty much just turned into a giant block of ice.
It just froze right up, didn't it?
It did. And you can't move it. You can't melt it. And if you scrape it, it's almost like polishing it. So we had to wait on a little bit warmer weather. That's where Sunday and Monday really became more important. But I commend our teams. I think they did a great job. And it's just part of what we deal with when it comes to this time of the year. But when it's really cold like that, that's where we get into a lot of trouble. Nothing melts, nothing moves, and nothing works.
It's just stuck.
It is.
Stuck there. As Randy Allis says, maybe this will be the worst of our winter.
Hey,
I said
he's
that's
the
good.
professional.
He's the professional. I said I think that's a great idea. We'll take that route and we'll be done with it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, just many thanks to them and all of our teams that come in and did work, and everybody else that worked on it. County highway and EMS and dispatch and wreckers and fire and police and sheriff. There's a ton of people that spent a lot of hours, just doing their jobs, but doing it well. Fortunately, I think maybe the sheriff's department had a car get hit by somebody else in a little accident, but I don't think there were any injuries. And so overall, I think everybody was safe, which is great. We had a lot of cars slide off the interstate. The interstate was actually in pretty bad shape just at some point in times. And in some areas, of course, we had a jackknife semi. We've had a fuel leak this week, or tanker roll over fuel. There was another feed truck that rolled off the highway in northern Decatur County. So it's been a very busy 7 days for our teams across the board.
It has. They've done a great job, though, and got everyone where they need to be safely. So the holidays are the next couple weeks, so that will alter schedules.
Yes. So Thursday, 1 week from today, is Christmas. If you haven't got your Christmas shopping done, you might want to hurry up. That's coming rather quickly. So then that trash and recycle day will shift to Monday the 29th, and then the 26th is a government holiday as well. So all units of government are closed. So that will shift to Tuesday. And so it will be a double Monday, a double Tuesday, normal Wednesday. Thursday is New Year's Day. That will then shift to Friday. And so Friday will be a double day. So in 2 weeks will be a long week for our sanitation guys who are doing 3 double trash days in a week.
Oh, that's right.
That's hard.
We appreciate them so much. Like I said, they always just act so happy, and they're out there doing their thing. And let's hope that it stays warm. It's supposed to be warm. Christmas Eve looks like 40s right now. So
nothing wrong with that.
That's right. We'll take it.
Yeah. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all local city, county governments are open. Thursday and Friday they are not, and then next week Thursday they are not. So there you go.
Keep that in mind, right?
That's right.
You attended an event at the Bread of Life this past Saturday.
Yeah, so it was right before it actually started snowing while we were out there. So Honda made a contribution, or is a corporate partner with Feed the Children, a national organization. So they did a distribution to 400 families on Saturday out at Bread of Life, partnered with Bread of Life for that, and went out and joined in the festivities, the welcoming group. They had a group of volunteers from Honda out there, and then helped hand out some boxes for about an hour and a half, right as the snow was starting to fly. So it turned into sort of a big snow globe, and was kind of fun, other than it was just really cold. And I didn't have a hood, which everyone who was in the everybody who was helping hand out the boxes, that I think they were all very concerned that I did not have a hat or a hood. So there was lots of discussion about that. And when I got in the car, I looked in the mirror, and I was just caked in snow because it had been snowing for so long, and I had to go over to a business in town before they closed, and I looked like a wet, drowned rat when I got done after it had melted in the car. But that's okay. Got to hand out some boxes. They had
400, right?
400. They had kind of like a box of food that would kind of run a family for about a month of, different meals that come with recipe cards, how they could use the products. It had a box that, so Feed the Children's a national organization that partners with different organizations. So like Avon was the skincare and product company, donated like a box of feminine products that included everything from hygiene through some basic cosmetics and some items that could, maybe be gifts or used, obviously. So there was that, and then there was actually like a squishy toy, like one of those.
Oh.
I don't know anything about them, but they're really popular,
and
they're
fluffy.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
and they're, I guess, in high demand. They're highly sought after. They're if you're a young kid in today's world, you want a squishy. Okay, great. Didn't know anything about them. They are cool looking, and they're kind of a neat texture. But the Feed the Children worked with Squishy to donate boxes of these, so every family, every box got one of these as well.
Nice.
So there was a toy, there was food, there was some hygiene products, and then a few other random things. So it was a very efficient, easy system. They had their regional rep, Feed the Children's, out of Chicago, so she was down, and overall it went really well. Melissa, Bread of Life, just has a heart of gold and does a lot of great work to make sure people in our communities have knowledge that that's happening. So they had received some type of like voucher that they brought, like she had worked with them on.
Yes, they had to get a voucher before the event. So.
And then they had to present that, and then they got a ticket, and they'd give me that. There was a whole lot of paperwork changing hands that nobody really knew what was going on. But if you had a white piece of paper, we'd put a box in your car. That's all that I cared about. As I took the paper and wished them Merry Christmas, and we loaded a box. Great.
It was perfect.
But it was great to see that, and lots of really appreciative folks, not only from Decatur, because I was kind of watching, like when I do Talks Away Days, I always look to see where the plates are from, because Talks Away Days is a Decatur County only event, see who else coming. But this one was open to whoever had the voucher. So, quite a few, I'd say a majority were from Decatur County, but it was not 90% by any means. So really a regional impact, and I appreciate them all doing that.
And I think, too, the fact that 400 families were able to be assisted. It's a rough time of the year. Economically, it is tough. So 400 families, that's a pretty huge impact that they made on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. We've got construction that continues, so the Zaxby's is coming along.
And they're putting up brick in the snow, I think. So
I didn't know that could happen, but I don't know anything about construction. So
they've got it tinted, and they got the signs up. I think I had heard mid-January, so I think that, I don't know that they've announced the date yet, but I was at a lunch meeting on Monday in a restaurant in town, and there were two folks in there with Zaxby's jackets on, and I almost went over and interrupted them, but I opted not to. So it'll be good. We'll see.
I was out there at another store, and I went through that area. So how will that traffic flow in and out? Do you know? Do you understand? I was trying to follow their arrows, but they were working, and I needed to drive.
So as you come off of the bypass onto Freeland Road, there's sort of that like exit ramp that goes into like the Dairy Queen drive-through, right? Like into the gas station. It's one way in kind of thing. You'll be able to go in that way and then across the front of Zaxby's. So there is a driveway that's being installed like in front of Dairy Queen. And so you'll be able to go in that way, and then the drive-through sort of circles around the back, along the like side closest to like the Ford dealership, and then around the back, and then the drive-through exits towards the bypass. But you will not be able to go right. You have to go left and then out onto Middle Road in front of like the Enterprise car rental where the old Goodwill was, out onto Middle Road, and then you can either go left to Freeland or right over to Lincoln, Greenview and Lincoln. So there will be a way, because part of the concern when we talked to them, and they've been really helpful, Zaxby's has been really helpful in this whole process, was with the traffic coming out and back towards Dairy Queen, you have to drive kind of across and through the gas station to get back to an exit onto Freeland Road. And as we all know, Freeland Road is a little bit of a mess right there most of the time, especially when you're trying to turn left. So we really encourage them to exit out on the Middle Road, and then that intersection back by where like the Walmart and like where you go over to Jimmy John's and Feeders, that interchange, that intersection there, turn left there. Somebody's going to ask about a stoplight. We actually can't put a stoplight there because we are too close to INDOT's intersection for another stoplight, and Those are kind of two private drives, which we can put stoplights on private drives. That works. But there is no intention to put one there, nor will there probably be one, simply because of its proximity to the bypass and the interchange up there.
All right.
So keep that in mind.
It's coming. Zaxby's is soon.
That's right.
The Dollar General on 421.
Making
still
progress.
progressing.
Yeah. I don't know. They had the lights on in there the other night. So there you go.
It's rocking and rolling. And then the hotel out on Veterans Way.
Nothing new out there. They've got the windows in, so I'm sure they'll work on it over the winter and probably will look just like that come March 31st.
That's right. It's cold.
That's right.
It's their limit on what they can do.
Before we run out of time, though, you've got to talk about what you're airing tomorrow, because you also had an opportunity at the State House yesterday.
I did. And we talked about it on the air last week, about what it was. So the First Lady chose one of the Christmas trees to be decorated with the Imagination Library by Dolly Parton. So she sent out a Christmas ornament to every county that has that program, ours being one of them. I did get a chance to talk to Joanne Cunningham yesterday. She was the one that hand painted it. And so I was able to find our bulb, but I was also able to get an interview with the First Lady yesterday. So we'll be airing that tomorrow. It's about 7 minutes long. I may have to trim it a little bit, but super sweet lady. And the fact that literacy is it's her driving force, along with just the importance of kids moving and eating healthy. And she just has the youth population there kind of at the top. And I kind of follow along with that. So it was a great interview with her, and great, beautiful decorations. You, I'm sure, had the chance to see them as well. And
yeah,
what I did learn yesterday is the two trees on each side of the Imagination Library were decorated for Governor Braun. He likes the more nature stuff, and so she chose that theme for those. So, and she decorated them herself. She said she had the ladder up and just climbed right up there, and they're tall. I don't know how tall they are, but
they look kind of tall in the rotunda, which is 2.5, 3 stories. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, but so yeah, she decorated them, and we will air that tomorrow. So that was a good interview, and glad to have that experience. So
yeah, and an awesome opportunity for you too, right? To get to chat with her. She seems to be like a really nice lady. I've talked to her once or twice before, and seems to be really passionate Main Street business in Jasper, and really small towns and rural Indiana minded.
We had a chance to touch on not every community is as fruitful as ours and have the resources that we do. And so she kind of got, we got to talk about those small towns at that point and how that impact is. So excited for that to air tomorrow. It'll be on probably at noon, starting at noon tomorrow. So
good. Well, tune in for that.
That's right. Anything else this week before we wrap it up?
Have to wish my grandmother a happy birthday. So happy birthday to her. And I think that's it. Everyone have a fantastic Christmas. It's been a great year. Obviously, with Christmas Day and New Year's Day being the next 2 Thursdays, we'll be back. We'll be back in the 8th of January. And everyone enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. Please stay safe. Stay healthy. Check on your neighbors, friends, and pets. We'll see you in 2026.
All right. It's 7:59 on Tree Country 1330.